Roger Gobers ha volgut presentar-se com a un factor, una persona que fa coses, un apassionat dels mitjans de comunicació i una persona que té una necessitat compulsiva d'explicar què fa i com fer-ho millor. A més, és president de Memory of the World, del projecte Memòria del Mundo de UNESCO, però ell mateix es presentarà.
So, thank you for the invitation first. Yeah, I'm happy to see so many people. I say so many because 12 years ago, when you started to speak about that, it was a desert. Yeah, 2 persons, and you were happy if one of the both didn't leave. This was the times in 2008 when we started. So, we will talk this morning. I will try to make you an introduction. Yeah. An introduction to what is knowledge, and I built my conference about that. What do I know about that? Very little, yeah? But the thing I know is the relation with Memory of the World. Yeah? I'm working for the UNESCO, and from there on, we build paths. So one part of the conference will be very, very conceptual, and the other will be a lot of examples. Yeah? I try to keep both inside of the conference. So, I started my career as a TV director. I directed Formula 1 in my life because I was shouting very hard in German. It helps, yeah, for RTBF. After that, I joined the knowledge, the direction for technology and exploitation, and you see, I was managing a knowledge department. But the most important thing, we started an association in '94, which started to think about digital. We were the first to have a digital terminal, yeah, with MPEG-2 at the time, 25 years ago. And today, I'm working for the UNESCO because of all the things that I learned from my producing time and from the knowledge I have on technology. We received from the Celtic, which is a big cluster in Europe, an award for the things we developed there, because really we think that we have things to give to you about how do we have to think about the future. This is important. So, those are the words that I'm going to use. All the important words of the conference are there. I do not understand every word, okay? Are there people in the room who understand RDF, Resource Description Format? No? Well, OWL, yeah, you see, those are very specialized languages in the internet. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to bring you a path, trying to understand where we are today and where we want to go. So my conference is about life in evidence, representation, and meaning. Life in evidence, representation, meaning. We're going to make those steps. So let us start with the problem. The problem is that. Okay? This is what we are facing every day. I took this example from the UNESCO. It's the Montreux Jazz Festival. 46 years events. Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, Prince. You imagine, yeah? And the problem is 5,000 hours. 5,000 hours. You have there 40,000 concerts, 10,000 original tapes. When you manage some things like that, it's a problem every day. We used to say, those are the categories in which you want to browse. And this is the thing that you want to know. What do we have today? Yeah. Is it really the machine that we need? I want to say about Google, those people are very charming. They say to us, bring us your wheat for free. We are going to make the mill. We are going to make the French pâtisserie, les viennoiseries, yeah, les croissants, les petits pains au chocolat, and we sell this. And what do we receive? Services, some services. Can we go ahead with that? And the other question is the system in itself. It's a proprietary system. Why is it proprietary? Because they want to sell things to us. What are the main issues? First, the life cycle. This is very important. They cut the line between the people who are producing the information and the storage. And the storage is not connected to the person who is producing. So every time you change something, Google doesn't know. This is a major issue. We should be live. We should structure all the information that we are putting on the web in a structured way so that the machine browse. We do not need to have this storage, which costs a lot, as you may know, in electrical power. The second problem is the effectivity. Can we tell to the young people today that if something is not in Google, it doesn't exist? If something is not in Google, it doesn't exist. This is very, very dangerous. And the last thing is the gratuity. As you may know, if it's gratuity means paid by somebody for a good or a bad reason. So I come back with my question. Don't we need more than a search engine? And I think yes. And this will be a part of my conference of today. This is why we have to go in all those steps to see what we can do differently. So, this is the conference. 4 take-off. Yeah? First, take-off, like in evidence. Second, take-off, representation. Third, what is knowledge? And fourth, configuration requirements. We have only 3 landings. The last one, I don't know. Let us start. So, in how many axes are we moving every day? I want to hear you a little bit. I want to see you alive, yeah? Axis, yeah? The first is volume, yeah? We are there very easily, we feel, since centuries, we feel it. And then we have 3 more axes, which are time. Time is a very complex concept. We have a short-term memory, and we have a long-term memory. This is things that we have since centuries. What did we change? Let's have a look to the literature. You know this book, Sapiens? Yeah? Important, yeah. Why? In this book, you learn that 3,000 years ago, we decided to change the way of living of the human beings. We started to have something which is very important, projects. Yeah? And from there on, we changed globally the world. This is a very, very interesting book. Yeah? It describes the important things. So you see, we started with project. This is one first concept. The second is Paul Valéry. Paul Valéry was asked a long time ago about what was his intention to say. And he answers, I didn't want to say, I wanted to do. Oh, this is major. This is major. If I want to do something, I have to tell about it. You see, to tell, conceptual. To do, to tell. So, project is global. Yeah? But if we do not understand that if we want to make something, you have to tell about it, it doesn't work. Hey, it's slow, no? Huh? Until now it's easy. We are on Earth. So, we have one thing more to distinguish. Interactions. We have to distinguish communication, which is something from the human beings, from interaction, between us and the machine, this is very new. Yeah? We have 50 years of history on that. From the interconnection between machines. Please, we don't have communication between tools. We have interconnection. This is the main difference. Human beings are able to manage epistemology, the definition of the existing in perception, semiology, the representation of the science, and ontology, the knowledge. Only human beings. What we intend to do is to help the machine with that. But until now, we are there. So look at the window. This is the change. You see? We kept only the window. And we have today a user interface. From the real world, I'm moving. I'm on another step. This is something new. This is the relation I have with the machine. And on this side, I have services. You know them quite well. Those are Web 2 services. And behind data. So we will have to understand what's data. Data. But we are not there. What we want to change, yeah, it's to have extended services. We want to structure this data. Yeah. We need their conceptual concept to filter and to structure. And this is part of my conference. So we will have user integration, knowledge representations with graph, navigation. This is the word I want to use. We want to step out from a search engine to a navigation tool. Yeah, you will see this. So this is the last slide, which is much more technical, is to show you what we have in the computer. Yeah? We have layers. And the only layer we can work on is presentation. This is TCP/IP for people from the internet. Yeah? So there's a layer upon, and in this layer, we have to put the representation and the meaning, the data, and the meaning of the data. So communication, interaction, and interconnection. Interconnection is the right word for the machine. One part of my presentation will be how can we help the machine. So I would like to say, when I meet people from the telecom, I say, I'm working on the layer 6 presentation. Yeah? This is where I'm working. So, first landing. It's okay until now. Life in evidence. We saw concepts, we saw also our relation to the machine. So let us start with definitions. What's the data? A formal representation of sign, nothing more. Data is something which is flat. We need a representation. Without representation, we cannot say what we want to do. This is important. We are using metadata. Most of the people are using this word to say it's data over data. This is a nonsense. It's a real nonsense, yeah? It should be used only when you have the data and the meaning expressed in the same structure. Metadata should be reserved only when you have really the possibility to have the knowledge about the data, yes? Then you have information. Information is the meaning of the data. Human understand. And communication, yeah. Communication, it's easy. This morning, yeah, we are not in the same linguistic and semiotic universe. So this morning, Spanish or Portuguese. Yeah, I was not in this sphere. Yeah? So communication is very, very important. You need somebody who's sending, you need a message, a receiver, and you have to be in the same linguistic community to understand. You see? We are building. So words are very important in what we are doing. We are managing semantic. Semantic is the meaning of the things. Can we go ahead? We are sensing and modeling technologies. I took an example from the UNESCO. In the UNESCO, we have heritages and registers. There's a natural heritage, an artifact, or cultural heritage, and the intangible heritage. And then we have the document. Very important. What the UNESCO does not understand is the importance of what we call sensing and modeling technologies. Yeah. Without documents, there is no natural heritage. There's no register. You see, the registers from the left side are depending of the documentary to tell what we want to do, to explain what exists. I come back, yeah? And with those modern technologies, we have to present this to human in perception. In perception. We do not understand bits, bytes, folder. No. We have to receive this in a way that a human being is able to understand. And this is in perception. What did we change in the last 50 years? Digital. Digital is coding. It's coding. Yeah? I will explain this, where we are. It's coding from this modeling and sensing technologies. And we improved interaction and authoring. Is this clear? Modeling, sensing technologies. The existence of all that we have on the left is depending on the way that the UNESCO is going to manage this documentary heritage. And there I'm involved, yeah, because it's important. We think that there we have a part of the evolution. Let's come to the linguistic part. Here I don't have to explain this. I think I'm in a place where you know ideogram, you know numbers, you know phonogram, you know pictogram. All those things in this department must be quite well known. What's important is in a sized system. How many representation can we have and how many meaning can we have on the same representation? I took only one example. We have the concept of one. You see how many different representations we have. So we can have many representations for one meaning, and we can have many meanings for one representation, which doesn't make the thing easy. It's a little bit difficult there. No? I'm explaining this. In linguistic, you have the signifier. In French, signifiant. Saussure should have taken the concept of insignificant because it's insignificant, insignifiant. We have the signified, which is the meaning. And we have a relation between both. But the relation is there, and it's a proprietary relation. Yeah? We learn when we are children to say father, papa, father. Yeah? We are putting together a way to represent something and the meaning of that. But the two things are quite different. Representation and meaning. I'm still on the same ways. For the signifier, we need a representation. Yeah, we need to paint something. And for the signified, we have denotation and connotation. What does this mean? I take something, I paint something. On the first step, I will say, oh, it could be a date, year, month, day. And on the connotation side, I could say, oh, it's the anniversary date of the 11th September. You see, most of what I'm going to speak this morning are the relations between denotation and connotation. But I need every time a representation for that. What we changed is we put a layer more. This is what the people called the semantic gap. It means that you have to go from the digitized representation to one representation, and then you go to the meaning, connotation, and denotation. Okay, you say, hey Roger, where are you? We are talking here with librarians, people from the television, and you are so far away, so far away. Let us be concrete. What can we take out of that which is important for our daily business? Okay. First thing, texture. Many of us are managing texture. So I will have we have a need of structure. And the last thing is we need to represent context. This is talking to you, yeah? This is our business. Until now, I have the impression that I talk to engineers, and now I would like to talk to people who are working every day. Let us look at texture. I have an example from the Memory of the World. I think everybody knows I Have a Dream, yeah, Martin Luther King, fantastic speech. As you may know, this was not the text that was typed, but Mahalia Jackson felt a little bit unhappy about it and said to Martin Luther King during the speech, talk about your dream, Martin, talk about your dream. So he changed and it became this famous speech. Putting this discourse back into the historical context is what we are going to try to demonstrate. You see, this is the event. So, first thing, this is the biography. And out of the biography, I will say who, what, where, when. I take a text, and the machine automatically tags. Automatically. Good tool, yeah? This is not artificial intelligence. This is only a simple tool. You see, so in textual today, we are able to pick up named entities. Things where the machine can say, oh, it's blue, it must be a physical person. Oh, it's yellow, it could be a date. And manually, you can upgrade this. This is textual, yeah? Textual is very, very difficult to understand for the machine. But today, we have the opportunity to structure that so that the machine understands a little bit in that. Second thing, this is the event. Tag it with the same characteristics, who, what, where, and when. You see, we used a gate from the Sheffield University to tag this. It's an application, open application, which you can use everywhere. So, textual seems to be clear. We go to structure. Structure, another important concept. I have a date, I have an attendance, I have an event, but I have the sound. You see, I'm making a structure between the event and the sound and perception. Concept, yeah? This is what we need in the machine. Those are things that we don't have today. On the structural side, I will also have the possibility to link the text to the sound document in English, in French, and also in paper. Structure, representation, textual, structure, last thing, the context. A person playing a role, an attendance, photography, the sound, and then I have the relation between the audio and the text. We don't have this today. We are working on that. This could be very important. I would like to say, if you are producing something today, please join the text, the transcription. The text is semantic. You must manage synchronized the audio, the video, and the text. Everywhere you can keep the text. In the future, it will be very important to have this, because we will be able to browse more and more intelligence out of that. So, what do we know more? It was an event, yes. It was Lincoln Memorial, linked to the President Lincoln, and the instance is I have a dream. I know it's the first time that you see things like that. Yeah? It seems so far away, so far away. But we are far away from only keywords. You see, keywords, it's very, very low. What we need is to have the opportunity to represent contextual, to represent structural things, yeah? And to have the opportunity to navigate in this. You see, every time I have an item and I have a relation to that. Three main concepts are there behind: the concept of terms, the concept of relation, and the concept of properties. It's a difficult morning, no? We are going to a landing. Okay, are we ready for the next? Mr. Gascon, can we go ahead? What do you think about it? It's, yeah, introduction. So, what's that? This part is quite simple. I see Barcelona. It helps. I see Barcelona. So, this is a representation which is called Mapamundi. It's a representation of the Mediterranean Sea in the 8th century. For me, it's the start. You see, knowledge is when you see something and you are able to structure this, to measure time, to measure distance, to know where places are. And when I saw this for the first time, I say, okay, this is a very good introduction to tell to people, for me, a map is knowledge. The second, this, who knows this? FRBR, people from the library, yeah, fantastic, no? When they started in the 90s, it was quite difficult. This is the same thing. It's the same thing that on which I'm speaking this morning. How can we structure things to give access to the machine? Here, what we have is the work, we have the expression of the work, the manifestation, the item. What we don't have is the way that the work was structured during the production. And this is what we need in television and broadcast, you see? But it's very interesting for books. And this was the start for us, no? IFLA. So I show the last graph. This is a way to represent a timeline in a broadcaster. We did this. This is coming from the lab. We have this since 2 years. But it took us 6 months with engineers to take this. You see, we started live in evidence. We talked about representation. And with the representation layer, I can represent knowledge. Heavy. But I think my presentation will be there. You will take time to look at that. No? But I think if you keep the concept and you go step by step, one day you will enter this and you will be able to reuse this and make examples for you out of that. So, how can we represent knowledge? This is a wrap-up text. But the problem that we have today is there. We hope that with artificial intelligence we will be better on that, but this is still the first step. And as I said, for all items put text in the future it helps. Then we have the tagging, low threshold, yeah, but it's more interesting to look at we produced during centuries, theory and taxonomies. And the last layer is the semantic web. It's on the top of the actual web that we have, and this is very good. This is really a way that we have to talk to machines. You see the steps. We should develop the layer 4, and this is where we are working. The others, we are working. We are making very good thesaurus and taxonomies and things like that. So, semantic technologies can integrate the power of tags, taxonomies, thesaurus, and their links. So, the expression of knowledge. There are many ways. They are very, very technical. And as I said, I will mention only 3, which are fundamental. The first is classes. Classes is a way that the machine can understand things. You see, you write class and you have physical person. Maybe people here know the ABU, the conceptual class model, CCDM, or the ABU core. They are built on this kind of technology. The second thing is relationship. Every time you have something and you have an arrow, you describe a relation and you name it. We are on the structural level. And the last is properties. I can say I have a physical person. This is the identity number and the full name is Guy Maréchal. So, every time you put something in the machine, you don't put keywords. No, you put a structure inside that the machine can browse. Yeah. Elementary assemblies in ABU core, CCDM, and Axis CRM. Those are the models. There are many others that are using this because it seems that it's very, very easy to use for people who are minded with this kind of structural construction. So, last, the exchange of knowledge. Remember the 3 steps, between human and machine, and between machines. This is important for us, between machine. This is where we are working. Don't think it is easy. But this is the future. Many of the things that we have today are built on silos, databases. We are promoting something with a network, and in the network, we need this way to exchange between machines. So, third landing. How is it? I feel the temperature a little bit cool. Mr. Gascon? Huh? We are on the last part, yeah? And on the last part, I would like to explain you, only with examples, what kind of things you should talk to your information manager. What do we need to manage this? And it will be very concrete. First step. This is the list, yeah. But I will go inside to tell you what the things are. The first is, we started from the beginning, life in evidence. Yeah, we are living there. And the computer is in our life. We are not in the computer world. And from there, you start to establish a database. Yeah? But the database is not in life in evidence, and life in evidence is not in your computer. So you have to build a relation between those things. Hey! You will talk to this, and the guy will say, you met somebody who went 2 times on the dark side of the moon. Yeah. Because we don't talk about that, and this is a very important issue. Then you have the bindings, which is the computer structure. And the last thing is, if you have an identifier, you need to represent it also in your system. You see how the conference was built. Life in evidence is left. The meaning, the knowledge, is on your right. And we lead the link. We call this statement of existence. You have to declare in your system that something exists, and so you can manage the life cycle. First step, okay? The second, easy to understand. When I say easy, it's really easy. Registers. And I took also the example from a register from the UNESCO. So, first example, I have a dream. When you look at the register, it's very flat, yeah? 6 languages, 1 photo, a little bit of sound. We should have the ability to have an extended registers in which we can navigate. This is an example from, could be in Turkey, and it's the Petit cuneiform tablets from Bogaskoy. Very complex thing. When you, on that, we want to have categories we spoke about to browse inside. We have a knowledge base, and when you know that there are 25,000 items, that they have a representation of each item, you imagine the management there. When you are using semantic technologies, you are able to manage such a complexity. This is why we are working in the UNESCO, to try to promote this and not have it simply a description in 6 languages. This is the way we should manage it. The English version, the French version. This is the way we could also have the things in parallel. Yeah? Navigation. This is the term I want to promote this morning. You see the links. And then, let's come back on this one. It's another register. I should have the opportunity to compare them, to navigate inside of them. This is the future. This is why we are working with computer, to have that, not having 2 million answers in 1.5 seconds. Yeah? This is register. So, the third concept is point and segment. You should have the ability to put a point everywhere in a document and to say, okay, give me all the documents in which I can recognize this word. In this case, it's Nobis. On the same concept, I would have the way to say, those are the same places. Give me the structure so I can put a point in each map to say, it's here. Point and segments. And then we have the view, the way that you are representing things. How do you want to see this on your screen? And it's quite a complex issue when you see everything which is behind. The relation with the real world, yeah? And we are there. Here, but we have the power. We have the power to say, this is the way we want tomorrow to see things. Not only a search engine. We want to have documents which are structured. We want to have the opportunity to navigate in things. No? So, last thing, it's the conceptual model. It took us 10 years to be there. We started. And today we can say entity is the part that you know. You are doing entities every day. No? It's all the documentation that you are managing, the tools that you are managing. But on the conceptual part, I explained to you what you need to structure. And you have to say to your computer department, please structure me this so I know what I'm going to put in the description, what I'm going to tell about something. This is the machine side. This is representation. And we need something more, is the view on that. How do I want to see the things so that I can navigate in the things? This is where we are working, you understand this? We spent a lot of time. We are in contact with the EBU about that, to have this. We are in contact also with the UNESCO, and we are trying to promote this. Today we have the concept. We still don't have a specification. This is what we are working on, and we hope that at the end of this year we could have a POC or something like that. So if you are interested, keep in touch. We will promote this. So, a check. What's that?
A representation of a banana.
You will remember me, yeah? So, this is real life. I don't know. This is representation. It's not a representation of the banana. It's more than that. It's a representation of the concept. There, IE is working more and more to try to recognize. Please, Mr. Gaston, I offer you this. So during the conference, you will tell two people. This morning, we had somebody who spoke about banana. Why is this very interesting? Because you know Nigel Farage. It's not a friend of me. Yeah? Nigel Farage said, you imagine at the European Commission, they discussed 6 months about the definition of a banana. Try to define a banana, and you will see how complicated it is. Because afterwards, everybody has to say, this is the definition. Yeah? And the definition's there, and you know how the administration can be. It's not a banana because it's not the curve and the dimensions, things like that. Okay? So, we are at the end. Some recommendations. I hope that I was in time. Today, it's what you have. Most of your systems have this kind of things. But you should move to semantic aligned models. Why? The only way to survive today is migration. And if you want to go from one system to another system, you have to align your concept. So please do it. Don't believe that your database is there for the next 50 years. When I go to conferences today, people said, Roger, could you talk me about how we can archive for the next 50 years? And this is what we are talking about. I'm not here this morning to talk about that. But you see how important it is today to say, I'm going to migrate. And migrate can only happen for semantic. Okay? And then you will have, maybe in the future, semantic models exchanged between database. So, network. This is what I wanted to promote this morning. Message. Okay, first thing, you could be very happy in the system that you have today. Yeah? But I would like to say, every time it's possible, add a text to your media. Please do that. Nobody does that. For archiving purpose, yeah, the text will be tomorrow a place where you can get very high-level semantic information on what is the content. Message 2. I would like to say, this is the future. No? Don't make this in one step. It's impossible. But move. Try to move. Say to your computer department, I want to structure the things. I want to see context. There are tools today. We have development departments. Yeah? And with the development departments, we did in the past a graph representation. They never sell it. All the people who came said, we want to have the Google Lite. Keywords. Doctor, it's in the mind. Yeah? We are Google-minded. We have to get out of this. I would like to say also something for Google. Yeah? If you don't know exactly what you are looking for, it's the best place. It could be very helpful. Yeah? I'm not against that. I would like to say for everything which is commercial. But I think that for science, culture, education, we need better. So, conclusions. Those are all the standards we slept with on the last 10 years. They are all on the website. They are explained in French, in English. You see, OIS was very important, FRBR, as I said, and the CCDM class model. So you will find them there. This is what we are doing today. We are working in the UNESCO PERSIST, and this is what we have the intention to do in the next months. Normally, at the end of this year in Paris, we should be able to have a specification of the Axis CCM conceptual model. Yeah, thank you very much. It was a heavy introduction. The banana.
Seguramente, ahora es el momento de hacer preguntas. Si alguien tiene alguna, pues es el question.
Gate, yeah, it's from Sheffield. General architecture for textual engineering, yeah. But there are many more, yeah. This was working quite spectacularly, yeah, in French. I was surprised, yeah. If you look to such tools, I didn't mention another one, which is SUMA. SUMA is a tool for transcription, SUMMA, yeah. It's developed by a consortium, and they are making transcription in English, in Chinese, in Sanskrit. I think they have a French version. It was not a priority for them. We can understand the Brexit, yeah. But maybe Spanish, maybe SUMA, yeah. I will give this. Yeah. I have cards with me if you are interested to keep in touch. If you have questions about, because I'm here for the dissemination, yeah. I'm not the engineer. We have several people behind that. And I'm very happy sometimes to go and have a drink after 2 hours of meeting because I have to decompress. Yeah. What you are going to do today, yeah? So please, I know it was very conceptual, but I think I brought enough insight from the conceptual view and also examples. Look at the examples. Yeah. I realize I have 10 years of work in this field, and I met very, very complicated persons I did not understand.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿No? Vale, pues si acaso pues damos por acabada la sesión. Antes tenemos, Luis, y os daremos unas informaciones importantes para el resto del Congreso.
Thank you. Thank you. Gracias.